Hello from Studio B, and welcome to SB native Pete Dal Bello. I'm your host, Pete Dal Bello, and joining me is my co-host, Jatsibe Sandoval. And nice blouse, Jatsibe. As you know, purple's my color.
Well, thank you, Pete. I got it from your closet.
Oh my! Oh, you're not supposed to tell anybody that. But you know, we got Italian Pizzellis here on the table, and I have some Dal Bello wine off camera. But I think I'm going to have to be eating and having a drink later because we have two interesting guests tonight. And actually, and our first one is right here. It's Richard Girard. And Richard, welcome to the show. And Richard is a managing partner with Town Associates, which is a Santa Barbara-based construction, development, and owner representation company. And as full disclosure, Town Associates is a sponsor of this show. And Richard, thank you for joining us, and we'll just get right to it. How did Town Associates come about?
Well, Town Associates has been around for a while. My business partner, Michael Vespi, and I are general partners of the firm, and it's based out of Las Vegas, but we just opened up a California hub, so we are based here as well. And we've done business and development and commercial buildings and residential buildings all out of Las Vegas and Houston, Naples, Florida. But after the aftermath of the disaster here, and I've been living here for 35 years, we decided that opening up a California division would be a good thing to do to help the Montecito residents recover from their home destruction.
That's amazing. So what's your company's goal with Santa Barbara and Montecito with all this?
Well, we have a license, a general contractor's license for California, and we're capable of doing any kind of build out, whether it be residential or commercial, but our main goal is to help the Montecito residents as owner representatives, which means that we want to come alongside them and help them during their distress, because a lot of them are still going through a lot of distress right now, and help them navigate the choppy waters of getting their recovery for their insurance claim, and all the way through development of all their every stage of the home development. So that's what we do.
Because I would imagine that most people, just in general, they lose their home or something of that nature, they wouldn't. I know most people would wonder, well, who do I contact first, or what would you recommend? Well,
oftentimes they don't know where to turn, and they'll turn to an attorney, which is not a bad idea, but they really don't need to do that. What they need to do is ally themselves with an expert like we are, that knows every aspect of construction and development. We can actually challenge the insurance carrier because we know what to look for. An insurance carrier is just not incentivized to give them the maximum settlement. They'll want to do it for as little as possible. And that's just, if they're left by themselves, the owners, that they're going to be stuck with that. We come alongside them, we do our own site survey, we put a scope of work together, and we're able to challenge the insurance carrier line item by line item. We want to make sure they're not underbidding that line, the settlement in any way, or missing anything. And we can actually challenge them. If they give us a quote of this much, we can try to come in at this much. Sometimes we'll end up in between or closer to what we're looking for, and that really helps the owner.
I see. It certainly makes it more cost effective.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Sounds like you're advocating too on that side. So like you're not only providing your services, but you're also being with them.
Yeah, and that's the most important thing, because they need somebody to come alongside them that they can trust. We're actually an owner representative. We're working for the owner, and that's it. We're accountable to the owner when we're dealing with every contractor, the insurance carrier. We're working for the owner, and we're looking after their best interests, and it's a win-win for them.
It sounds like, I don't know, are you a baseball fan, Richard?
Yes.
It sounds like it's kind of like a general manager of a baseball team. Is that how you would describe that?
Yeah, it's analogous to that. A baseball team, where a baseball team hires a general manager, the owner does, and the general manager reports directly to the owner. And then that general manager is tasked with finding the players for every position, the best players, and making sure that they perform at their highest level so they can win a title or a pennant. Same thing we do. We're reporting to the owner as a general manager, but we're an owner rep, and we have to go out and find the best contractor for every position we can and make sure that they perform to their best level. And at the end of the day, we have a quality project that's been done, time efficient, and cost efficient as well.
Yeah, and I would imagine that's quite because there's so many people involved in so many different projects, so it could be quite.
There's a lot of moving parts, and again, an owner by themselves just would really have a difficult time trying to manage it cost effectively. So that's where we come in. And we add support to them, so we can reassure them that, look, we're looking after your best interests. We guarantee you pretty much that you're not going to overpay. We're going to save you money, a lot of money.
I'm going to tell you, I'm not that, I don't follow baseball. I didn't follow that knowledge really too well, but overall it sounds like you're doing an amazing job for them.
Yeah, well, that's the whole goal. We want to help the owners, because they're going through a real difficult period right now. So, yeah, we want to make money, but we really have a heart for those that are hurting and they're distressed. So we know we bring a valuable service to them, and we want to help them.
It's kind of like a niche market in a way, is going into areas.
Is
that what the company does, go into areas of disaster? Or?
Yeah, we've done it in Houston and in Naples, and so we're familiar
Naples,
with
Florida,
Naples,
not
Florida.
Italy.
No, that's right, Naples,
Well,
Florida.
maybe someday maybe so that's why I'm here for the geography.
Thank you for that clarification. I was a little lost.
So we're familiar with people that are hurting after a disaster, and we know how to come alongside and help them and get them on the right track quickly, because that's what they want, because they're under enough distress already. We want to help them.
Because I would imagine you could, with the construction, you could build any kind of thing, add a room on, and if I were to add a man cave, which I really don't like to use that because I usually invite more women than men.
Really?
So that's a few stories I'll have to stay off the air. But
Please don't be.
but you'll be able to build. I hate to say man cave, but you'll be able to do that if I need that.
Absolutely, and we can build anything. But what we really, right now it's a little late in the game, but we want to help them maximize their insurance recovery, and then we want to help them maximize their recovery all the way through to the development of their home until it's completed. So we can help them every single step of the way. But of course, that insurance settlement is really, really important, that they get the highest amount possible, because again, like I said, if left by themselves, they're beholden to the insurance company. They're not going to get what they really need to rebuild the same quality of life as they had before.
What would be, for example, the top 5 things that an owner representative from Town Associates would do to assist homeowners in a disaster zone?
Well, like I said, we want to come alongside them first and foremost and help them with their insurance claim. Okay, if they haven't done that already, or if they're in the middle of it, we can still come in and help them. But after that's done, we come in and do a site survey and with the owner, and we produce what's called a scope of work report, which is really the Bible of what we're trying to do. We take that scope of work report and then compare it with the insurance adjuster's report. And they do the same thing, but we come and we can compare and contrast our reports, and we go down line item by line item on the insurance adjustment report to make sure they're not underbidding or missing anything.
I see.
And that way we're really able to dissect it to get the owner's highest value, because we're qualified, because we're experts. We can actually challenge the insurance company that way. So after that's done, we're able to get the settlement, and after the settlement's done, then we're able to take that scope of work and go out and start the bidding process, finding the best qualified contractors out there. And that takes a while, but that's really critical in the process, because the owner needs to know that we are finding the most qualified, the most cost-effective contractors out there, and that's what we do. We know how to do that. So none of these people will be able to overbid or overcharge, add-ons, all that kind of stuff that can happen if they don't have somebody, owner doesn't have somebody looking out for them. So that's what we do. And then after that's done, then we can start the build out. After we get the contractors and their contracts, their price contracts, and the actual work can start to get done. And we can oversee every step of that, making sure that all the contractors, all the players, if you will, are performing at the highest level, and they have to report to us when we report to the owner. And it's a beautiful system, really, because these contractors know that they can't get away with anything, and we're on them to make sure it's efficient, right to the very end.
It's very accountable, too.
It is,
That's
and
awesome.
you have to have that in this industry.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's interesting. And then because there's so many things, like I mentioned earlier, that the average person wouldn't even think of, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Just because they don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. I'd have an idea, but then I would say, well, I'm sure that you would say, well, are you looking at this, this, and this? And I said, well, as long as that man cave's is rebuilt, that's the first thing.
That's right.
And
Call it a den.
A den, okay. I was going to say Playboy cuisine, but I didn't want to insult anybody.
It's just a den.
And there's no neon there or anything.
There's a lot of things to look out for, but what I would suggest, a lot of these owners will look to an attorney first and foremost because they don't know where else to turn after a situation like this. And that's not a bad idea. Attorneys can help, but they're not experts in the recovery process. They can go so far, then they need to outsource to people like us who know the industry. And that just adds on cost to the attorney costs. We can cut that out and save them money, the owners. But the time we will call an attorney in is when we get stalled in the negotiations with the insurance company. Then it's a good time to bring the attorney in. But other than that, they don't really need to do that. But it happens all the time. You can see that because they don't know where else to turn.
Yeah, I would imagine that and then if the attorney be contacting you anyways, it's like they jumped the gun and brought an attorney in they should have contacted you, and then they would have probably needed an attorney maybe.
Again, the owner representative is kind of a new concept, so we're kind of introducing it now into the area.
I was going to say, I've never heard of it before till this year.
Yeah, but it's a valuable tool for the owner.
Definitely is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then with well, we got like 2 minutes or so. Any closing thoughts or comments on construction in general? And I know, and you mentioned to me in the green room that you've been a Santa Barbara resident for 35 years.
Yeah,
so
and that's why we're opening this up here because I live here. And yes, I go back and forth to Las Vegas and other parts, but since I'm here, it just made sense to open up a division here so we could help these people, and I want to do that. I want to be here to help as many people as I can. Of course, it's a business, but we bring up value to the homeowners, and I want it to be a win-win for everybody. And if I didn't feel that we brought the value, I wouldn't necessarily be looking at this as a goodwill thing per se, But I know we can bring. Because we've worked with a lot of disaster victims in the past, so we know what we need to do to come alongside. It's a little late in the game now. Most of these people are already well into the process of trying to do their insurance recovery, but it's not too late. I mean, for some of the people that are out there that could still use our services, we can still be available for them and help them out a lot.
I just want to let you know, I can tell that you love this community.
Oh, yeah.
It's very obvious.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been here for a long time.
Yeah.
I
Where'd
love
you
it
come
here.
to Santa Barbara from? I know you're not a native.
No, I came from Orange County.
Orange County.
Yeah.
Close enough.
You probably came when you were 3 or 4.
Yeah.
He's an honorary native.
He's an honorary native.
We should get crowns for honorary
That's right,
natives.
because Jet Seavey and I are both natives. I don't know. Well, I tell everybody I'm a native.
Yeah.
You kind of have to. It's like flaunting it around.
That's right.
You gotta
know
tell
what I mean?
everyone.
It's like I show my rings and then I talk about being a native, and so they're used to it.
Yeah.
They're used to it.
I do want to say it really is an honor to meet you.
thank you.
I hear you're a legend in the city council meeting. And so
Well, they can tell you some stories down at City Hall.
I hope we can do some work together because I know
Okay.
you have some influence.
There you go. Well, I appreciate the kind words, and thank you, Richard, for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
And we appreciate it, Jet Seavey and I. And we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. If you're just joining us, our guest today is Guy Dolev from the Craftsman District, And Guy, thank you for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
And this is my co-host, Jetsebe Sandoval.
Hello, Guy.
Some
Hello.
will say that she's the brains of the outfit, and it's hard for me to argue.
It's
And-
very
and-
true.
And being the gentleman I am, I'm going to let her ask you the first question. Isn't that nice?
Well, it's not a question. It is. So tell us about the Craftsman District. Where is it located? What's it about?
The Craftsman District is located between Garden and Milpas Streets and from about Cabrillo to Coda. So this area has a lot of different, you've got glass blowers there, you've got architects, engineers, a ton of different types of businesses in this area that's zoned for light manufacturing usage. So what's happening there now, as well as those types of uses, is you've also got a very large industrial sector that's growing and growing, and the area is not zoned for that, and it's been a real problem. There are air pollution issues and parking issues because of certain types of business that don't provide parking according to city ordinances. So we decided to get together with other businesses in the area and see if anybody has the same types of problems that we've got. And sure enough, when we canvassed the area, every single person, every single business said, these are serious issues and they concern us, and we would like to do everything that we can to work with you on them. So we hosted a meeting at the Fest Parker, which was about 70 people attended that. The room was filled. So because of that, we saw there's a lot of interest in fixing some of the issues there. There aren't sidewalks on the streets in many areas. There aren't street lights. Like I'd mentioned, there's a serious parking issue which might force people who are walking back to their car to walk a great distance in the streets with no sidewalk and alongside large earth-moving equipment, garbage trucks. So this is very unsafe, and it's a serious problem. We've been working with the city on a lot of these different types of problems. The thing is, there are so many different issues there that it took an organization to form in order to deal with all of these types of issues.
I see. And then how many, I know you mentioned different businesses. I know there's, being a Santa Barbara native, I know there's masons and carpenters and iron workers. So that's kind of the appropriate name, the Craftsman District. How was that name decided? Was that your decision or a collective group of people? How did that name come about?
We came to the name Craftsman District through a poll. So we had everybody that was canvassed within the scope of our work there. We collected phone numbers, email addresses, got in contact with everybody, and created a type of poll where we listed some suggestions of names. We were given advice that branding our geographic district would give strong recognition that the public could use to say, that specific area, rather than generally describing it as what they might be doing right now, calling it the industrial zone where nobody wants to go, things like that. So historically, the area had been used by masons, carpenters, woodworkers of different types, iron workers, and they built a lot of the beautiful houses that are in town. And a lot of that type of work is still being done in that area, as well as some uses these days, like there are winemakers and brewers, photography studios, film studios, architects, engineers, like I'd mentioned, glass blowing workshops. And
It's really gone quite a bit diverse in the types of businesses than they used to be.
Yes, and they're all kind of centered under something that can still work as being called the Craftsman District. So that was a name that we'd put on the poll.
And you know me, Guy, I always ask the questions nobody else asks. That's how you get a show. You ask questions nobody else asks. So I'll ask you this that I know nobody, I'm sure nobody, if someone's asked me, you tell me who asked you this. But What were some of the other choices or other suggestions other than Craftsman District?
We
That
had
could have been called something else. What could have it been called?
warehouse district, things like that had to do with garden and ocean corridor, which some of those I'd suggested, but in the end, we saw that most votes had come in for Craftsman District, and that is really what suits the area the best. So in the end, after I saw that, I realized that that was the right choice.
I see.
And it sounds like the better name, the Craftsman District.
Yeah, because there's so
Thank
many
you.
craftsmen from all different types of fields.
Right, I think it's appropriate.
Yeah, so what's your role in all of this? Are you an organizer? Are you a craftsman?
I have a business that's down in the area, and I'm the chairman of a business association that my building is in.
Okay.
So we'd started there and begun to reach out to others that are nearby, other different property owners and people who are renting where they've set up their business. And so I was the one who, with a few others, organized a meeting where we got everybody together and began to talk about these kinds of issues. And we're forming our organization just all on our own.
That's awesome.
Have you always
Thank you.
been civic-minded, or is this new?
No,
to you?
this is totally new to me. I don't come from activist, environmentalist, politically involved, or
Probably
any kind
opened
of-
your eyes in a lot of things to see how the city is run and how different departments interact or don't act at all, I guess you could say.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I've seen a lot of that. I've learned a lot. I come from a technical background, in business. So this is very new to me. I've learned.
What's the name of the company that you're the chairman of the board? Is that what you are?
Our business association is called Railroad Square, which occupies an entire block.
So you're right near the railroad?
We are
That-
right. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right
so
behind the
it doesn't take
double
you
train.
long to take a trip somewhere?
Not that close to the train station.
Oh,
but,
okay. You can't
unless
just
I were-
walk there. I'm trying to
You
say.
could just jump on the train.
Yeah, I see how concerned I am about the environment. I'm trying to save you gas and everything.
Okay.
I don't think a train ride would be...
Not that we're trying to. We're not trying to. We're glad you're here.
You want
but
me to take a ride somewhere?
I'm just trying to make it easier for you if you want to go to Ventura or something someday.
Oh, thank you.
You know, I'm all about making our guests feel welcome. This is a
Okay.
real supportive environment, as many people have noted. And
Let me ask the important question.
okay, that's why.
So are you
she
a
could-
Santa Barbara native?
I am. Yeah. I grew up in town. I'm a Don.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I love it
Oh,
here.
don't say that to her. She's
Oh,
not a.
she's
She's
a
not a
royal.
Dawn like
I'm
I
a
you.
forgot.
royal.
Yeah.
You know, we're actually working on some kind of bet for the big high school game. We'll have to figure something out.
Well,
That's
we'll
a different
figure it
type of politics that,
Yeah.
luckily I'm out of those these days.
Yeah, you know, because it's never a dull moment. It's never a dull moment.
But
in
these
this
days,
world.
we're all people who grew up in town. You know, we're all connected in that way, and we've seen the city go through many different changes, and we all want the absolute best for it. So our goals are to protect the area from types of misuses that are happening there.
And it must be frustrating because you mentioned the lack of sidewalks, and it's not like this area is brand new or being developed, you know, as a new community. It's been around a long time, and it must be frustrating for people that have trouble walking or are mothers with strollers and things like that. Where they park probably depends on a lot of things. You know, elderly and then soccer moms and things of that nature.
Absolutely,
Because
yeah.
they can't find a parking that's, from the sounds of it, I've been in the Craftsman District every now and then. I'm not there all the time like you are, but I would imagine that it must be quite frustrating for a lot of people to
It
find
is.
parking.
Yeah, absolutely, and very, very dangerous as well. I've seen female employees walking back to their vehicles after work during daylight savings time and passing under certain freeway underpasses that are notorious. These are dangerous areas, and it's very dark even at 4:30 during the winter. And you're forced to walk in the street in a lot of places because there isn't enough parking provided by certain businesses that need to provide enough parking for their employees. That's a big concern there. I've seen mothers pushing strollers behind when we used to have RVs down there. This was a real problem. I saw a mother disappear with her stroller and children behind multiple RVs. And on the other side of the sidewalk there was freeway embankment. So I watched and made sure that she came out the other side because it was a place where somebody could certainly disappear. And
You were concerned about her safety, that's for sure.
absolutely, and
You're a
thankfully
good
we
person.
don't. Thank you. Thankfully we don't have those the RVs in town anymore. That was taking up even more parking and creating other problems. So that's one thing that's gone right here.
And you know, Guy, you mentioned to me in the green room, I don't know why they call it the green room, I want to call it the purple room.
Actually,
But-
I have a good green room
That's a
story
great, oh,
for
do
another
you?
time.
We have to keep this clean, this show, you know. So
This room looks a lot more green to me.
Yeah, I know it. It's amazing what the people don't see, you know that.
Right.
And you mentioned in the green room that the Craftsman District Association is in the process of being formed. Are you the head of that, or what's your role in that? And what is the association most concerned about? What are their biggest concerns? Obviously, parking is a big one.
Parking is
of it.
a major concern, yeah. So that association is being formed, Craftsman District Association, and so we will form as an NPO, and we'll elect a board of officers. So I have confidence that I'll probably wind up on that board.
You
as
got
well
some
as,
pull, it sounds like.
I think a lot of people know that I put a lot of time into this and have a good understanding for how some things work there. So they're comfortable with having me lead the charge in some of these ways. So I wouldn't be surprised to be nominated for.
And then you've already been a big part of bringing this to the forefront.
Yes, absolutely. Through our Railroad Square Association, I was able to. That's already a group of about 26 different businesses. So yeah, our biggest concerns as the Craftsman District are air quality because of there's a materials recycling facility which is a fancy name for crushing up a lot of concrete, and this machinery sends a lot of silicate and other types of very, very hazardous particulate into the air, which is not good to breathe. And this is in proximity to two different schools. There's Franklin Elementary, and there's also Santa Barbara Junior High School within 5 blocks of this facility, which was set up in 2014.
So this is still fairly new.
Yeah, this is a new thing that's happening. So we want to reverse that decision. That's a good facility, but the thing is, it needs to be done somewhere else. It's serving the entire county, not just the city. And here we have it within 400 feet of the Pacific Ocean, just behind the DoubleTree Hotel.
Well,
I think that'd be something like we'd know about, especially here in Santa Barbara.
yeah. Are we the first reporters to ask you about the Craftsman District?
You are?
Well,
And
see, we're
Wow.
always jumping the gun. We're always
Yeah.
first, Jetsy. We are first, girl. Well, thank you so much. Unfortunately, time is running, but thank you, Guy, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And I want to introduce our sponsors real quick, and who helped make this show happen. Town Associates, Pani Vino, Via Vi, Dal Bello Investments, Tino's Italian Grocery, Dr. David Inman, the best chiropractor in town. He's in Victoria Court, Suite 24, Realtor Patrice Serrani in Berkshire Hathaway on Coast Village Road, Sheer Delights Lingerie and Accessories at 422 North Milpas Street, Suite 2, where sensuality begins, the International Chiari Association, and Dal Bello Productions. I want to thank everyone for watching, and good night, everyone, and good night, Irene.